Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over LTCN BCHG and the rest of the trusts. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so markets are having a little bit of choppiness today. It's kind of pretty much what I expected. Again, we have Fed Pal talking on, I believe it's Thursday, and we have some news catalysts on Thursday and Friday. So I suspect likely we're probably going to see the bigger moves up in the market towards the end of the week. It doesn't mean that markets can't go up in the meantime. It's just crypto may remain a little bit stagnant until then. You guys can see it's kind of up, but not really up that much. So, anyways, so let's go over the charts here. Once again, we are slowly, very slowly moving into bullish seasonality here and into convergence of bullishness. You can see on pretty much every single one of these, we're kind of getting a similar look at these bottom indicators here. MACD slowly starting to curl up, RSI is curling up. Not so much on the ETH trusts, but again, these ones usually lag a little bit behind Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the market leader. But you can see it's getting kind of similar with the altcoin ones here, and I could just keep going down the list all day, but I'm not going to do that. So anyways, let's go over LTCN. All right, so LTCN so far does look quite bullish. Again, I'd like to see, we got a candle close above basically the structure level, but I'd like to see another one above this kind of red box here. So I would say, once again, pretty much anywhere between $11.50 to roughly about maybe even as high as $15 could potentially be a good area to buy. I really highly doubt we're going to get back in this box down here at $6.50 to $8. It's possible, but in my opinion, not likely. So you got about that $13 to $15 range, and then $25 to roughly about $27 range as potential short-term targets if you're just looking to position trade. So 54 is going to be the swing high up here. And then above and beyond that, we have 75, 100 to 135, and 3 to 400, and then the all-time high is 510. Again, I'll give you guys here shortly in the future the updated Fibonacci's. So let's go ahead and do these measured moves. All right, so assuming that this red box does hold and the price continues to go higher, we're looking at potentially as much as 100% and 296% move. BCHG, this one's lagging a little bit, but then again, BCHG had, in my opinion, a much more explosive move to the upside than the Litecoin Trust did. So, plus we're not getting the curling up yet of the MACD indicator, although it looks like it might be starting to slowly move in that direction. So I'd say pretty much anywhere between 540 to 630 is going to be a good buy area. So you got that $10 to about 1250 range, and then 1780 to about 20 range, and then 24 at the swing high. Once we start kind of getting more of a break of these zones above head, we'll start talking about the higher price targets. For those of you guys that are still in your positions, you're probably going to want to know that. So looking at as much as 195% to roughly about 259, we'll just call that 260. Okay, so HZEN, this one is outside of the wedge, but still below the EMAs and below the resistance area here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that anywhere between 250 to as high as probably 425, I'd say that's a good area to buy. Again, we bought HZEN a little while ago. Not in recent days, but the positions that we've held for a while now. And from that level, it's 50% down. So that should tell you how cheap these are right now. So the zone above head, roughly about $6.90 to $8. And then the swing high up here, $10.50. Again, once we start kind of breaking bullish to some of these higher levels, we'll talk about the higher targets and upsides here. So roughly about 121% to 184%. ETCG. Again, I do think we're probably going to hold this 760. I mean, it's possible it can go below that. It's always possible. Okay, I don't want to say it's not, but I think the likelihood that that's going to happen is essentially zero, if you ask me. I mean, we're too close to Q4, and Q4 is always bullish for crypto and stocks usually. I mean, we literally have a week left, literally a week, and then we're in October. So do I think it's going to get below here? Probably not. But you're free to make up your mind about that. So we got 860 to 980, and then you're looking at about kind of $13 to $16 range there, and then roughly about 18 to that $20 range. So from kind of these lows down here, we're looking at roughly about 106, 153, and 160% respectively. ETH getting the curling up here, getting the potential golden crosses going on. That's always a good sign. So I think this 1880 is probably likely going to hold. If you're worried about it, the next level below that would be roughly about 11 to 1540. I don't think it's going to go down there, if I'm being completely honest. It's possible, but very small probability, if you ask me. So 23 to 2850 is kind of that zone up in there. And then we have this cup and handle target. So 48, again, that does match the previous peak and the previous cycle. So targets here would be roughly about 53 to 153% move. FILG or FILG, whatever you prefer to call it. I do think that this support down here is likely going to hold. So we got 35 to roughly about 42. Again, we're getting pretty close to getting that massive squeeze to the upside. You can see the indicator starting to show that. And then the all-time high is going to be, I believe, roughly about $400. Yeah, so just shy of 400. Okay, so just from this zone to get back to the all-time high, $830. Again, if you're worried that it's going to go lower, which I don't think it is, the bear market lows down here would be roughly about 350 to 13. GBET, again, curling up of the EMAs. There's a certain somebody in the audience. You know who you are. Thank you for the support, by the way. He mentioned making like 15,000 in GBAT or something like that. So I'm glad that all of this content has not gone to waste. Some of you are benefiting from this, so that's good. So roughly about 430 to 515 support. I do think that's going to hold. 750 to 10 is going to be the next level. And then 32 all the way up there at the all-time high. So from this level to the all-time high, 606%. And if you're worried about a dip, I'd be looking at about 230, 240, somewhere in there to potentially buy lower. It depends on your perspective on the markets. If you're bullish or bearish, I'm bullish. So I once again, I've studied these markets for over 4 years now. I don't see any reason to be bearish at this point. So 1140 to 1470 support here on GLIV, all-time high, $80. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward chart. It's not really that complicated. So 630%. G-Link, nice little double bottom, possibly even a W pattern here, which is a very bullish pattern. I do think likely this trend line and support is going to hold, so 38 to about 45. If you think this zone is going to hold, then that zone would be roughly about 67 to 85. Again, this could be a flip zone in the making as of right now. That remains to be seen, but it's always possible. So 220 at the all-time highs up here. If I measure it from the current support, 392% move. If I measure it from the would-be support, assuming this is automatically going to flip the zone that it's in, roughly about 216% move. Okay, GSOL. Yeah, this thing has mostly just been sideways this entire time, up and down and kind of all around. I suspect this is probably accumulation. Again, if I were just to kind of draw a big, huge box over this, and we did this on our most recent post in X, showing you guys kind of what happens when it looks like it's going up and down, but not really, okay? So this is mostly just, in my opinion, just a big fat accumulation block, okay? I don't think it's really doing much of anything because, again, kind of waiting for the alt season to arrive. And again, that's not going to happen until Bitcoin hits that probably somewhere between 140 to 220,000 going into end of this year. I'd say probably about Q1 of next year. So support as of right now, 290 to roughly about 350. The all-time high, which is also the swing high, roughly about 580. Whether it's going to pull back into these areas or not, I don't know. I mean, it did get below the trend line, then came back above it, and also the support. So at this point, I would say it's not likely to get back into the support zone, but once again, you're free to make up your mind about that. So 95% move here. GXLM. So this thing is having a nice little bouncy tool right off of that kind of white line there. So roughly about $14.50 is the line that it bounced off of. Current level 2050. That's the support I'd be looking at to hold to, eventually just kind of bounce off of this and rip higher. And then, I mean, there's a bunch of areas. You guys can go back to the previous video and look at that if you want to. So 53 to 58 is the upper resistance there, and then 70 would be the ultimate target for me, at least, if I was in this. So just from the current level to that upper target there, 230% move. Mana, so this thing does look like it's potentially bottomed out here, so potential kind of double bottom there. The white line, I am expecting that to hold. That's roughly about $10. If you're worried about it, the lower level here, 140 to 350. But again, we are getting this kind of bullish convergence going on here. The EMAs, the MACD, the RSI, they're all starting to kind of curl upwards. That usually indicates to me a massive squeeze to the upside coming, and and also a bull run, bull trend, excuse me. So in my opinion, the likelihood it comes back down here is essentially zero. I mean, it's never truly zero, but it's about as close to zero as you can get. So all-time highs up here at 70. If I just measure it from the white line to the all-time highs, 535%. And keep in mind, all these targets are not including all-time highs. Okay, if they go to all-time highs, we're going to have to reconfigure and figure out what those are. Whether you guys choose to take profit at these targets up here or not, that's entirely up to you. I know there's a lot of people out there holding for like a 10, 20, 30x. That's fine. I'm just showing you guys kind of what to expect in the roughly about immediate to midterm or so. And we also talk about the more longer term as well. So Zcash, roughly about 440 to 510. I do suspect this white line down here to hold at roughly about 3.25. And then above head, you have roughly about 790 to 970, and then 10.25 or 10.5, somewhere in there, up at that swing high. So from the white line to the swing high, roughly about 215%. Again, it could touch this white line again. I mean, the altcoins aren't really expected to move massively to the upside until sometime probably between December of this year and I'd say maybe about April, May timeframe of next year. Anywhere in there, I would expect altcoins to blast off, but not before then. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.